Welcome to another tech video. Today we're going to be building a new PC. Well, I say a new PC. We've got a Core i7 7700K processor that we had in an old PC. It's been sat on the shelf for a while, so we've managed to find a few bits and pieces. We've ordered some new parts, and it's all going into a case that we've had sitting around for ages. So we thought we'd make use of it and purchase a few new bits. We've actually managed to get a graphics card as well. So the parts we're going to be using today, we've got a new selection of bits here. This motherboard, which is the Z270X Gaming K5 from Aorus, is a board that we purchased off eBay because we couldn't find one anywhere basically to match with our CPU. So this board, we have no idea if it works. Apparently it does work, and we've done a brief investigation and the board actually looks okay. We've had a look at the socket as well, and the socket looks to be in good health. So the plan today is we're going to build this up on the workbench and see if it works. So the board, we've explained, we've got a previous CPU that we've been using a number of years ago. So this is an Intel Core i7 7700K, so it's overclockable. That will sit in the main board. Then we've got a new DDR4 kit. So this is a 16 gig kit running at 3600 megahertz. The board is more than capable of running that speed with an XMP profile. Now, the board itself, we've purchased a TPM 2.0 chip, so we can install Windows 11 on this. So this chip is a Gigabyte chip, trusted platform, and apparently it works with this motherboard. So we've done some research. Apparently it works with it. We've not obviously tested it, so that'll be one thing for us to find out if that works or not. And then the next thing we've gone for here, we've gone for a WD Blue 500 gig NVMe drive. So this is the SM570. So this is PCIe 3 NVMe. Then we've got, as you can see, Dark Rock 4 CPU cooler. So this is air cooled. So we were going to look at an all-in-one liquid cooled option, but we decided actually we haven't done an air cooled build for a while, so we're going to be using the Dark Rock 4, and this was on a deal. And believe it or not, we managed to get a graphics card. It's not a particularly great graphics card, but it's more than ideal for what we're going to be using it for. So this is a GeForce GTX1650 with DDR6 memory on it, 4 gig graphics card. And then we've paired all of that with a Corsair RM550 fully modular power supply. So this is gold rated, and this should last us for years to come. So let's have a think about how we're going to get all this lot put together. So as I mentioned, we're going to assemble it off the case. We're going to be putting it in a Corsair air cooler case, but we'll have a look at that a bit later when we actually do the build itself. But for now, let's crack on and see if we can get this assembled. So that's the CPU inserted. These go in slots 1 and 2, which are clearly labelled slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, slot 4. And then we're going to take our GPU, and for the moment we're just going to sit that in this slot. Like that. Okay, so we've got power to the board. Now we want to see if we can get some power to the system itself. There we go. See if we get an output. Okay, we've got a post. So that all appears to be working. Fantastic. So let's get that switched off before we get too much heat in the CPU. I'm well chuffed about that. I thought I was going to have issues going back to the eBay seller after this sitting on the shelf for 2.5 months, but that all appears to be working. So the next thing we're going to do is going to strip this down. We're going to clean off the motherboard completely because there's some dust around the corner under here. We're going to give it a good clean. We're going to wipe down all of the components. We're going to change the BIOS battery and then we're going to get it assembled. Right, so the first thing we want to do is we want to get in the back plate and we're going to get the motherboard installed. So this is the Corsair 275 Airflow edition. So this should be an ideal case for this. Let's have a look to see if it all lines up nicely. And this is the cooler itself, absolutely enormous. So that's going to sit on there like that, but it will sit nicely around the RAM. So we've got an AMD kit and we've got an Intel kit. So we're going to be using the Intel kit. Screw that in lightly for now. There we go, and then turn it down on there like that. That is now nice and sturdy, which is good. Okay, so that's the system now prepped. So let's get our case back up here. Okay, so we're going to take our main board now. That can go in. And we want to make sure that that fits in there perfectly like that, which it seems to. Okay. And we're going to use our Be Quiet screwdriver. Okay, so that's the board mounted now, so let's crack on. So let's see if we can work out where everything goes. So I think the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to get the power supply installed. Okay, so let's have a look what we've got, what we've done so far. It's got all of our motherboard cables in, I think. Let's just get that one seated properly. So that's for our USB 3 front headers. We've got our system fans, all 3 fans, case fans all connected. So we've got the top one running on 3, I think this one running on 2, and then the back fan running on 1, and then obviously we've got our CPU fan, so we've got plenty of cooling in here. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to take our graphics card and get that installed, and then once we've installed the graphics card, we want to just run round and make sure that the cables are all looking okay in terms of cable management. So this case is a little bit overkill for what we're doing with it, being as we're using air cooling. Right, so that is as good as it's going to get. Just going to add another cable tie on here, get that under through that side. Okay, that looks better. So we've got a power in, power and fans connected. Let's now have a look at the back side, because we need to do a tidy up round here. It's not too bad in itself. So we are going to, all of that stuff can route down there. We just need a couple of cable ties, one in here to hold this lot together and hopefully enable us to get the back cover back on. Glad that all the manufacturers give us cable ties. So we've got cable ties with the cooler and we've got cable ties with the power supply, which is always nice. And then the last one. There we are. That's it. So we don't need any additional SATA cables or anything anywhere. So that concludes the back side. This will all be hidden away. The cover looks like it's just about going to shut. Let's have a look on the inside. And then on the inside, that looks a bit dodgy, that USB 3 cable, but looks okay. So as and when 38s become more readily available, we will be getting one for this case. Okay, that cover goes on nicely, so there's no issue with the cables getting in the way. So let's make sure we're switched on, everything connected, keyboard and mouse is what we need. Keyboard and mouse. Okay. So let's have a switch on, see what happens. Okay, so we've got lights, we've got all the fans spinning, and we've got a post straight to BIOS, which is great. Right, let's have a look. So, advanced frequency settings. I'm going to leave all of that. We're going to enable our XMP profile, 3600. Let's see. Yep, so it's picked up the drive, non-RAID physical disk, perfect. Offboard SATA controller, trusted computing. Let's have a look at that. Okay, so security device support, no device found. So that's going to be the next thing. So let's do save and exit. Save and exit. Yes. And reset. Okay, I'm going to turn it off at this point. because I want to add the TPM chip that I purchased to make sure that it'd be interesting to see if that works. We've got all the LEDs on and we've got a post. Fantastic. Okay, so let's now go back to our peripherals and let's have a look at our trusted computing. And there we go. Here's our TPM2 chip. It's found, it's got a firmware version. It's all enabled. Physical present spec version. Okay, so that's fantastic. That means that we're going to be able to load Windows 11. Okay, so what we've done is to insert our bootable USB Windows 11 drive, and we're going to now try and install Windows 11. Okay, so we're going to say I don't have a product key. We will add a product key later. And we want Windows 11 Pro. Accept the license terms. I'm going to do a fresh install on our 500 gig NVMe drive or a 500 gig SSD drive. So now we can remove the USB drive and let the system boot. Okay, so now we're just going to step through the options, getting it configured. So the only sticky bit will be we've not got internet access on this, so let's see what option it gives us. Okay, so continue with limited setup, perfect. This is a way to create a local account. And that's the local account created. Now we've got to set our security questions. And once that's done, we can set our options. So we do want to have location-based services. We don't want to be using Find My Device, not at the moment, because we're not going to be setting up a Microsoft account. Diagnostic data required only. We don't need inking and typing. We do want to have tailored experiences, and we do want to use our advertising ID. And now the setup will run through. Shouldn't take too long now. It will do all of the updates once we get connected to the internet later. And there we go. So let's get it connected to the internet now. Let's download our updates. So it says our NVIDIA control panel's been installed. I'm not sure what the installation area is up here, but we'll let this finish. We'll give it a reboot and then we'll see where we are once that's completed. While we're here, we'll just have a look, see if there's any additional drivers that need to come down. Four available drivers. Cumulative update. Now we're going to install these. Okay, so now let's give the machine a restart. Okay, let's get logged back in. Let's go back and search for some more Windows updates. We'll do a retry. And then while that's updating, we'll get some icons on the desktop and check for updates again. And then we're going to have a look at, okay, so fully up to date. Right, so here we've got our i7-7700K running at 4.2 gigahertz, 16 gig of memory installed, Windows 11 Pro. Can't see where it says it's activated, but let's go in here. Activation state. Windows is activated. Okay, so that's amazing. That has let me install Windows 11 Pro without inputting a key at all. So not sure how that's happened, but thanks Microsoft. Right, so what I wanted to check was our device manager. I wanted to make sure that everything was listed correctly in here, including the TPM2 chip, which it is. That's the additional chip that we added. Let's have a look at our universal serial bus. Make sure that our USB 3 ports, 3.1 ports and Type-C port is registered, which it all is. That's all there is to it. So I hope you enjoyed that cobbled together video. If you found it useful, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Just want to say thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.